Chegou a hora dessa gente bronzeada mostrar seu valor. Eu fui a penha, fui pedir a padroeira para me ajudar. Salve o morro do Pintem, pendura a saia, eu quero ver. Eu quero ver o tio Sam tocar bandeiro para o mundo sambar. O tio Sam está querendo conhecer a nossa batucada. Anda dizendo que o molho da baiana melhorou seu prato. Vai entrar no cuscuz, acarajé e abará. Na Casa Branca já dançou a batucada de ioiô, iaiá. Brasil, esquentai vossos pandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Há quem sambe diferente noutras terras, outra gente um batuque de matar. Batucada é unir vossos valores, pastorinhas e cantores de expressão que não tem para o meu Brasil. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Chegou a hora dessa gente bronzeada mostrar seu valor. Eu fui a tempo e pedi a padroeira para me ajudar. Salve o morro do Pintem, pendura a saia, eu quero ver. Eu quero ver o tio Sam tocar bandeiro para o mundo sambar. O tio Sam está querendo conhecer a nossa batucada. Anda dizendo que o mundo da baiana melhorou seu prato. Vai entrar no cuscuz, acarajé e abará. Na Casa Branca já dançou a batucada de ioiô, iaiá. Brasil, esquentai vossos pandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Há quem sambe diferente noutras terras, outra gente um batuque de matar. Oi! Batucada é unir vossos valores, pastorinhas e cantores de expressão que não tem para o meu Brasil. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Oh, oh, sambar, oh, oh, sambar, 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 oh, sambar, oh, sambar, Abacateiro, acataremos teu ato, nós também somos do mato, como o pato e o leão. Aguardaremos, brincaremos no regato, até que nos tragam frutos teu amor, teu coração. Abacateiro, teu recolhimento é justamente o significado da palavra temporão. Enquanto o tempo não trouxer teu abacate, amanhecerá no mate, anoitecerá mamão. Abacateiro, sabes ao que estou me referindo, porque todo tamarindo tem o seu agosto azedo, cedo, antes que o janeiro doce manga venha a ser também. Abacateiro, serás meu parceiro solitário nesse itinerário pelo ar. Abacateiro, na refazenda, tu me ensina a fazer renda, que eu te ensino a namorar. Refazendo.
Camera action. Bisa aja Pak.
Abacateiro, acataremos teu ato, nós também somos do mato, como o pato e o leão. Aguardaremos, brincaremos no regato, até que nos tragam frutos teu amor, teu coração. Abacateiro, teu recolhimento é justamente o significado da palavra temporão. Enquanto o tempo não trouxer teu abacate, amanhã será tomate, anoitecerá mamão. Abacateiro, sabes ao que estou me referindo, porque todo tamarindo tem o seu agosto azedo, cedo, antes que o janeiro doce manga venha ser também. Abacateiro, serás meu parceiro solitário nesse itinerário da leveza pelo ar. Abacateiro, saiba que na refazenda tu me ensina a fazer renda, que eu te ensino a namorar. Refazendo tudo, refazenda, refazenda toda, Guairoba. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Se a fé tá na mulher, a fé tá na cobra fora. Oh, num pedaço de pão. A fé tá na maré, na lâmina de um punhal. Oh, na luz na escuridão. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Oh lá lá, andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Oh menina, andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. A fé tá na manhã, a fé tá no anoitecer. Oh, no calor do verão. A fé tá viva e sã, a fé também tá pra morrer. Oh, triste na solidão. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Oh lá lá, andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Certo ou errado até vai onde quer que eu vá. Oh, até onde avião. Mesmo quem não tem fé, costuma acompanhar. Oh, pelo sim, pelo não. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Oh lá lá, andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Oh lelê, vamos lá. Andar com fé eu vou, café não costuma fé não costuma falhar. Fé eu vou, café não costuma fé não costuma falhar. Fé eu vou, café não costuma falhar. Chegou a hora dessa gente bronzeada mostrar seu valor. Eu fui a penha, fui pedir a padroeira para me ajudar. Salve o morro, subi bem, pendura a saia, eu quero ver. Eu quero ver o tio Sam tocar bandeiro para o mundo sambar. O tio Sam está querendo conhecer a nossa batucada. Anda dizendo que o molho da baiana melhorou seu prato. Vai entrar no cuscuz da carajé e abará. Na Casa Branca já dançou a batucada de ioiô, iaiá. Brasil, esquentai vossos pandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Há quem sambe diferente noutras terras, outra gente um batuque de matar. Batucada é unir nossos valores, pastorinhas e cantores de expressão que não tem barómetro. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Chegou a hora dessa gente bronzeada mostrar clube tem, pendura a saia, eu quero ver. Eu quero ver o tio Sam tocar pandeiro para o mundo sambar.
O tio Sam está querendo conhecer a nossa batucada.
Anda dizendo que o mundo da baiana melhorou seu prato. Vai entrar no cuscuz, acarajé e amará. Na Casa Branca já dançou a batucada de ioiô, iaiá. Brasil, esquentai vossos pandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar.
Há quem sambe diferente noutras terras, outra gente um batuque de matar. Oi!
Batucada reunir vossos valores, pastorinhas e cantores de expressão, que não tem para o meu Brasil. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Brasil, esquentai vossos bandeiros, iluminai os terreiros, que nós queremos sambar. Oh, oh, sambar, oh, oh, sambar, tambor, tambor, sambar, tambor, tambor, sambar, oh, oh, sambar, oh,
Hello, good afternoon.
下午好。代表30大主席、大西主席很快会到会，我非常高兴看到这个全会厅非常的满，非常高兴。
Climate action agenda on this high-level event, so thank you very much. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests. This afternoon, we have the honor to have with us Mrs. Chingara, COP29 Presidency, Deputy Minister for Ecology and Natural Resources from the Republic of Azerbaijan. Mr. Simon Stiell, UNFCCC Secretary, Executive Secretary, thank you. And the key person for this high-level event, Mr. Ioschpe, COP30 Climate High-Level Champion. And virtually, we'll have with us Mrs. Nigar Heiner from COP29 High-Level Champion. She's probably here also with us. Thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome you at this Global Climate Action High-Level event. Let us take this moment to share some reflections on the importance of the role of non-party stakeholders in implementing climate action and enhancing ambition. Her Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is an honor to address you today. I extend my warmest greetings to all gathered here today, parties, subnational governments, civil society, indigenous peoples, youth, private sector, investors, and all partners committed to advancing our collectively climate ambition. Today's event provides an opportunity to highlight the achievements of the climate action agenda over the past year, to acknowledge the renewable momentum driving our efforts, to recognize the partners whose dedication made these results possible, and to listen to your feedback and to your guidance. President Lula has provided us with clear tasks. This is a COP of truth, the COP of implementation. The first global stocktake makes clear that while progress has been made, achieving our goals demands significant acceleration in implementation. And to accelerate implementation, we need the coalition of the willing. We need the whole of society approach. Our countries are not able to implement the commitments made here without the private sector, the investors, the subnational governments, and all our societies. The NDC Sinci report reveals that 95% of parties now actively engage no-party stakeholders in delivering their NDCs. The voluntary initiatives in the climate action agenda already engage 190 countries and tens of thousands of business, subnational governments, and civil society organizations. Each one of those subgroups has thousands and tens of thousands of participants. through about 400 business organizations, dozens of cities and subnational networks, and hundreds of civil society groups. Voluntary actions can no longer remain at the margins. These initiatives and coalitions are tools we need to use to support the implementation efforts. In a rapidly changing world, the Action Agenda emerges as a vital instrument to respond to the urgency of the moment. In partnership with the high-level champions from COP29 and from Azerbaijan and COP30 Brazilian presidency, we delivered a single, unified global action agenda this year. And we are very proud to report that this collaborative approach is translating directly into a meaningful result. By engaging 482 initiatives created in the last 10 years of the Action Agenda across 6 thematic axes to support implementation of the GST of the Paris Agreement, agreed to in COP28 in Dubai, we invited voluntary actors to advance key priorities areas with tangible solutions and foster collaboration, scale, and their impact. This process has produced 117 plans to accelerate solutions, developed by multi-stakeholders coalitions to overcome barriers and deliver benefits for the climate, to the economy, and to the societies worldwide. Concrete examples shows how these plans are already making differences. This week, for example, the actors that pledged in COP26 to mobilize $1.7 billion for indigenous peoples and local communities' land tenure delivered on their promise a full year ahead of schedule. Even more encouraging, donors and governments renewed their support, committing an additional $1.5 to $2 billion through 2030. The Belém Health Action Plan provided another inspiring example. Building on work initiated on COP26 by ATASH and the World Health Organization, 30 countries and 50 partners from civil society committed to strengthening health systems resilience. Over 35 global philanthropists have already pledged an initial $30 million to support this implementation. We are also seeing accelerated.
我们还看到了这方面还在进一步协调更多的标准，能源、工业、碳市场、资金。他们有些是在
that can make all the differences to enable us to implement what we have agreed at the UNFCCC. We invite you to explore the full list of plans on the UNFCCC Transparency Portal, where we can witness voluntary actors moving forward along clearly timelines with defined responsibility and measurable targets. We also invite to publish a report on announcements made to accelerate solutions by the end of the COP, which we will be publishing very soon. This is an extraordinary work. Achieved together, we accelerate the action agenda here at COP, and we celebrate everyone here whose dedication made this possible. Much remains to be done. but with the foundations we have built, the shared vision for the next 5 years of the global climate agenda, and the continued leadership of the climate high-level champions, we are ready to move forward with purpose. I hope you'll join me in expressing our sincere gratitude for the work of the climate high-level champions, Dan Ioschpe, thank you so much, Dan, and Nigar Aparaya, and to all the stakeholders who have actively engaged with the action agenda throughout the year. To see this to come to life, the thematic rooms, the special event rooms in these 2 weeks of the COP has been inspirational. I also wanted to thank our envoys, both sectoral envoys as well as our geographic envoys that help all of us to make the climate agenda and the 5-year plans for that a concrete example of unity. Thank you so much. It gives me now a great pleasure to invite Mrs. Umayra from COP29 Presidency to offer welcome remarks. Please, Mrs., you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Excellencies, colleagues, and dear friends. Thank you for the opportunity to speak at this important event. At COP29, we all together made many historic decisions. They finally closed the Paris rulebook. And we are all moving into a new era. This is the decade of implementation. And in this era, what we do is more important than what we promised to do. Governments have come together to set the framework for climate action. Now it is up to everyone to deliver on it. But too often, collective commitments obscure individual responsibility. They all have a role to play based on our unique circumstances and capabilities. Every action matters because every fraction of degree matters. At COP29, they used our climate action agenda to drive everyone to the chance to signal up, speak up, and step up. They launched declaration and initiatives to enhance ambition and enable action on key part of the climate agenda. They drove progress on topics including trade, tourism, methane, and hydrogen, and we are still working with our partners to deliver these programs. They have held events at COP30 on water and urbanization to ensure continuity between presidencies on these vital topics. And they are honored to work with the COP30 presidency to bring the joint action agenda together. Here I want to express my deep gratitude to the COP29 and COP30 high-level champions, the climate champions teams, and the entire COP30 presidency for their hard work this year. This new approach to the action agenda will help to structure and channel our efforts, and thank you to everyone who has answered Brazil's call. They have seen over the past 2 weeks how the activation groups are already bringing progress, and they are delighted by the next 5-year plan of the Global Climate Action Agenda. This will be a vital tool in guiding the climate community efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, Azerbaijan is proud to endorse Brazil's vision on the global Muchero. It is a powerful reminder on how each of our actions contributes to the common good. And I look forward to working with all of you in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for your remarks. And we are grateful for the impactful work of COP29 presidency, which gave us, as COP30 presidency, very strong basis to continue the work that you started. Now, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. Simon Stiell, Executive Secretary from the UNFCCC, to deliver key remarks. Please, Simon.
Thank you very much, Anna. So, Excellencies, colleagues, dear friends, we have said throughout this COP that the world is watching and willing climate cooperation to stand firm in a fractured world. The Climate Action Agenda is showing this cooperation at work. COP30 has racked up an impressive scorecard of real-world climate actions that will also mean stronger economies, more jobs, and better lives for many millions. $1 trillion charge into the clean energy and grids, a global plan to quadruple sustainable fuel, moves to unlock new waves of green industry, the pipeline for new adaptation investments, among many others. Meanwhile, in national climate plans, we're seeing whole of economy and whole of society approaches coming to the fore. This is transformational, unthinkable only a few years ago. But this is no moment for self-congratulations. This is a moment to step up, to strive for measurable real-world results for people, for economies, and for the planet. This is the Climate Action Agenda. I want to acknowledge the COP30 presidency for its clarity of purpose as we work to ensure the action agenda works hand in hand with the formal negotiations process. This alignment matters deeply. It is helping ministers and ministries design climate plans rooted in practical solutions that cut emissions and strengthen resilience, helping governments unlock jobs, investment, cleaner air, and more secure, affordable energy for your citizens, businesses, and vital services like hospitals and schools. The Climate Action Agenda is not a nice to have on the side. It is mission critical and a key part of the Paris Agreement. I have said many times that in this new era, we must strive to bring the formal COP process closer to the real economy, for faster implementation, and to spread the vast benefits to billions more people. The Climate Action Agenda enables and harnesses the momentum we are seeing in the real economy. And it shows that the work of negotiators and the work of the real economy can and must work together to deliver the Paris Agreement. This is no accident. For decades, the Marrakesh Partnership for Global Climate Action has been essential for a global ecosystem of non-party stakeholders, and it will do much more. It has brought together businesses, cities, regions, investors, civil society, including indigenous peoples, helping sustain momentum, share innovation, and keep ambition rising even in the toughest of geopolitical conditions. That collaborative architecture has never been more essential. It is the bridge that connects national ambition to local action, global goals to community realities. It has been strengthened immeasurably by the leadership of our climate high-level champions, Nigar and Dan. Your work with the 5-year vision provides the continuity and inclusivity required for the future of this agenda. You have been indispensable partners to the process, to the presidency, and to the UNFCCC Secretariat. Count on me and my team to accompany you and future champions in this journey to make this vision a reality. Thank you. Colleagues, I'll come back to that other thank you. Colleagues, This climate action agenda is a central catalyst for implementation, where multi-level governance and cooperation between governments and non-party actors accelerates us towards our goals. The responsibility now lies with all of us, parties and non-parties, public and private sectors, national and subnational implementers, to deliver results fast, fairly, and at scale. Because people everywhere deserve to have the benefits of climate action: better health, more resilient communities, greater security and prosperity. And because every moment of delay is far too costly. So let us close the gap between commitments and delivery that protects and improves people's lives, to turn the signals from the climate action agenda into accelerated action across every sector, and to show the world that climate cooperation stands firm, serving the interests of every nation, every economy, and every person. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you for not only your inspiring words, but also for the support of the UNFCCC Secretariat throughout this journey, and especially for the transparency initiative that has been reinforced this year with the Nazca portal. So thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear from Mrs. Nigar from COP29, Climate High-Level Champion. She has a video that she is going to be talking to us. Please, let us put the video up.
This year, the climate champions and the COP30 presidency established one united action agenda. It turns goals into work on the ground. 6 axes, 30 clear objectives, hundreds of inspiring examples in the granary of solutions, aligned with people-centered realities, and activation groups that connect doers across sectors to remove barriers and plans to accelerate solutions.
All these entities have been put together, working together to shape the plan to accelerate solution. So this COP is only the beginning of this process.
So this COP is the COP of truth, and it's the COP of people. For us, that means health. What has really, I think, started to change this year is we've been able to be much more focused about what we're able to do to protect people's health from the impacts of climate change.
We have been working collectively at accelerating the solutions that can be deployed, but also making sure that nature is very much at the forefront of climate action here at COP30.
It is not a dream. It is achievable if we are overcoming all the risks and all the challenges that we are facing. And also, again and again, with the engagement of the local communities.
And this is why we are here, to ensure that that discussion on finance will also benefit the people that are the most impacted. And just to remind that 1.2 billion of people are living or depending on agri-food system.
Every declaration should lead to action and every pledge to a plan. Our multi-stakeholder architecture sparked more than 100 plans to accelerate solutions. In 2025, over 400 initiatives are actively delivering.
For example, bringing private financial actors to discuss how they would like to invest in national adaptation plans which are purely public.
15 years ago, it used to be about collaboration with other international organizations. Now it's really looking at the substance of synergies for implementation between climate, nature, and land.
We have 11 plans to accelerate solutions and 43 outcomes for this activation group, which brings together many initiatives, covers 70% of global emissions.
Without universal access to electricity and clean cooking, the world will be far behind in terms of achieving its climate ambitions, driving electrification.
It's crucial, it's important, and it's about what COP Presidency has been saying, this push towards connecting climate change to real life.
As time passes by, the urgency just increases, and then finding solutions for innovate, partner, identify what is really working and trying to scale up is critical for us.
This is the action agenda at work. We are setting a steady 5-year vision, so action stays on track beyond any single COP. COPs become checkpoints for delivery, where coalitions show results and adjust course. The agenda is structured yet flexible, so everyone can plug in and move faster together. Join in, support an initiative, report results, share what works, help shape plans to accelerate solutions. Action needs to happen 365 days a year. Focus on what is most relevant to remove bottlenecks. That's the point of this 5-year plan. Continuous action, positive examples, accelerated implementation. Let's work together in the spirit of Muchirao and get it done.
I think this absolutely beautiful video showed that the Muchirao to fight climate change is much more than negotiation, it's part of real life, and the trend that has been set is irreversible in real life. So now it is really, I would like to call upon our high-level champion, COP30 high-level champion, Ioschpe, to deliver in this second session of today's event to reflect on the work delivered in this framework of the global climate agenda and to look forward in presenting the 5 years vision of the global climate agenda. Please, Dan.
Boa tarde, good afternoon, buenas tardes, excellencies, colleagues, partners, friends. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize the community here in this room, those who drive climate action with cities, states, or regions, those who work with businesses, financial institutions, those who represent indigenous people and local communities, those from civil society, youth networks, or academia, those who drive climate action in national or local government, and all of us that feel implementation is important to the future of climate action. This is the spirit of Muchirão, the collective effort that defines this COP, and I hope will define the next 5 years of global climate action. Everyone here is part of it. Each one of you is part of it. Over the past decade, the climate high-level champions and the Marrakesh Partnership have shown what happens when governments, businesses, cities, regions, financial institutions, and communities work together with purpose. Every phase of that journey has been building towards this era of implementation. From the early campaigns that mobilized thousands of initiatives to the roadmaps, coalitions, breakthroughs, and sector plans that follow. The unified COP30 climate action agenda developed with my fellow climate high-level champion, Nigar Arpadarai, by the COP30 Presidency, by UNFCCC, and the Climate Champions team, builds on that experience and energy and gives it structure. This is not reinventing it, but making it an effective engine of implementation, not just at COP, but a continuous process year-round, working, as some of you know, 365 days a year, 24 hours per day. The Global Climate Action Agenda connects what happens across the system that integrate our societies with what governments are trying to deliver through national plans. And now, with the 5-year vision presented here in Belém, we have a system designed for accelerated implementation rather than more pledges. Thanks to all of your inputs shared across Brazil, Panama, Bonn, Addis, New York, and online and in so many other cities and countries, the Global Climate Action Agenda for from 2026 to 2030 is the next step in this process. It is practical, it is science-based, it is inclusive, and it keeps global stocktake as our guiding star at all times. And most important, it is built for implementation, or as my colleague Bruna Cerqueira would say, it is fit for purpose. It makes sure that when we act in one system, whether that's energy, land, food, cities, social development, or finance, we strengthen the others. That is what this new era of implementation looks like. It builds on work from thousands of people across every region who have shown that international cooperation isn't just possible, it's critical. It's what turns ambition into action and ideas into results. With KPIs, owners, and timeframes now spelled out on the UNFCCC's Global Climate Action Portal, NASCA. And you have seen this this week, everywhere you looked here in Belém. During this past days, the Climate Action Agenda has drawn together thousands of partners who are already delivering on the ground across countries, companies, and communities. They are proving that progress happens when it's shared. The process to implement is dynamic and inclusive, because we know that climate action is not only the right thing to do, but also the opportunity of our time for sustainable socio-economic development, driving investment, innovation, well-being, and jobs. The energy here and the results we have seen at COP30 show what happens when collaboration becomes infrastructure. 117 plans to accelerate solutions have been presented here at COP30's cycle. Each addresses the gap and bottlenecks that still stand in the way of delivering the Paris Agreement. Allow me to share with you just 3 examples, each demonstrating what we have showcased here at COP30 is a direct build on the momentum from previous years and all of your work. COP26 gathered countries to regulate grids through Green Grids Initiative. COP28 launched a $117 billion commitment in annual investment from utilities. Here at COP30, the foundation of a modern and a resilient energy system is coming together at speed with a $1 trillion pipeline for grids and storage and quadrupling of sustainable fuels by 2035. 2 years after its launch at COP28, the CHAMP coalition has integrated stronger subnational and urban content across 2/3 of new national climate plans, moving into the implementation phase last week. CHAMP and partners deliver a plan to make city-friendly NDCs a reality, with training for public officials and a strategy to ensure that by 2028, climate finance reaches at least 200 cities. And at this COP, we also saw the elevation of adaptation finance to make national adaptation plans investable, driving transformation of people's lives. Through FINI project, pipelines of $1 trillion in adaptation investment by 2028 were announced, with 20% coming from private investors, plus $500 million from multilateral agencies and philanthropies. All of these initiatives are becoming solutions at scale, a proof of a process that is working, one that connects supply, demand, policy, finance, and innovation through a shared purpose. The world may be divided by competing interests and uneven progress, but here we can forge a new kind of alignment. Governments, markets, and communities pulling in the same direction, implementing solutions. This is the role of the Global Climate Action Agenda, spelled out in the 5-year vision of the Climate High-Level Champions. Through this engine of implementation, we will turn effort into scaled-up results. I want to sincerely thank the many coalitions of partners who have built this process from the ground, and all of you, the parties who have supported us in this work. Your clarity and tenacity have guided us through the evolution over this past decade and helped lay the foundation for what we are now building together. Before we close, I would like to come back to where we began, the idea of mutirão. This is the collective effort that defines what comes next. Every skill in this room and beyond its walls, across the world, from negotiation to design, from finance to frontline implementation, will shape the decade ahead. So while I'm known as the champion for COP30, in fact, each one of you is a champion, protecting our planet and our shared future, and promoting sustainable socioeconomic development around the world. Before I conclude here, I would like to ask my colleagues at the Climate Champions team to stand up. I would also like to ask my colleagues from UNFCCC to stand up, and from the Brazilian presidency that worked along with us to stand up, and also previous champion Gonzalo and the special envoys from the Brazilian presidency, all so active in this process, so that we can clap our hands for them for the amazing work. And now, to close up, please give yourselves a round of applause for this first cycle of this new era of implementation and for what we will do next together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dan, not only for your remarks, but especially for your leadership. It has been a great pleasure working side by side with you, with your team, with our team. I wanted to acknowledge Bruna's big role as well. the climate champions team and everyone that collaborate, the Secretariat, for this moment. It is now my moment to give the space to the hundreds of voluntary initiatives that have contributed to build this momentum. Please allow me to take a short intervention from the floor from a representative of one of those initiatives. I believe Jenny is there. I can't see Jenny. Yes, please, Jenny, you have the floor.
Excellencies, I am here with a clear message from 136 Action Agenda initiatives. Momentum is unstoppable. Our coalitions of doers, cities, businesses, communities, youth and governments are acting. We have the solutions to collectively respond to the global stocktake and deliver the Paris Agreement. From energy transitions and nature regeneration to inclusive prosperity and resilient food systems. These collaborative efforts support the delivery of national plans and should give everyone confidence to accelerate implementation. The Unified Action Agenda this year has accelerated progress. We need to drive continuity and ensure the Action Agenda is an ever more inclusive and powerful engine for delivery. I invite you to join us. We are the implementers, and we are here to work together with you to make progress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Thank you for your intervention. It is great to hear from the support for so many initiatives. And thank you for all the work and commitment and compromise that you have done. So thank you very, very much. You represent many here. So with that, I will open the floor to some of the interventions from governments and non-parties. I would like to start with the European Union. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. The EU welcomes the work of the high-level champions and the Marrakesh Partnership of Global Climate Action. The Global Climate Action Agenda showcases solutions and implementation on the ground. It provides a link between parties and non-party stakeholders and synergies with other international processes. Solutions already exist. Now it is time to implement them at scale, and we need all stakeholders to join this effort, in particular under the Global Climate Action Agenda. For example, the business case for renewable energy continues to improve. As IEA clearly said, solar power is the cheapest source of energy ever. Therefore, we greatly appreciate the COP30 presidency and high-level champions' efforts in strengthening global climate action agenda this year and focusing it on implementation of the outcomes of the first global stocktake. This is what we need more of. We appreciate the achievements and efforts made for a more impactful global climate change action agenda and welcomes the COP30 presidency efforts to leverage existing initiatives, drive transparency, and scale climate implementation. We acknowledge the impressive work of the activation groups and plans to accelerate solutions they published. The Granary of Solutions is a valuable platform to inspire and track global action. We appreciate the Global Action Agenda portal being effectively utilized for tracking progress and increasing transparency. We welcome the 5-year vision of the high-level champions to pursue these efforts beyond COP30. We encourage the COP presidencies, the high-level champions, and the Secretariat to further improve communication, transparency, and accountability. We reiterate our strong support for the work under the Global Climate Action Agenda in enhancing international cooperation to accelerate progress toward our 1.5-degree target and full implementation of the Paris Agreement. We look forward to seeing how plans to accelerate solutions can contribute to accelerate climate action, and the EU will certainly contribute. I thank you.
Thank you very much, European Union. Now it's with great pleasure I would like to call Your Excellency from the United Kingdom, Ed Miliband. Please, Ed, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. And can I, Excellencies and distinguished delegates, can I start by taking this opportunity to thank the high-level champions and the COP presidency for their approach to the Global Climate Action Agenda this year. This has already been an inspiring session, and I thank you and all the people involved with it, because it shows the action that is actually happening on the ground. The transition, as my colleague said, is unstoppable, and I congratulate everyone involved in that. But I know I speak for the room when I say that we are both aware and proud of the progress we have made, but conscious of the further progress we have to make. And that's what I want to concentrate on. First, the plans to accelerate solutions are powerful tools to help drive the action we need. And the UK has been pleased to have been involved in several of these: scaling clean energy, driving industrial decarbonisation, mobilising finance, strengthening resilience and forests, and all part, I think, of the 5-year vision. Second, though, as we look to take our work forward, the action agenda and the negotiations must work hand in hand. And perhaps nowhere have we seen as much momentum as on the transition away from fossil fuels and towards clean energy. The COP30 action agenda has given a platform to demonstrate the power of global partnerships, such as the Powering Past Coal Alliance and the Green Grids Initiative, to accelerate action and show this transition is right for energy security, good jobs and growth, as well as climate. Now, we have heard a very, very powerful call from President Lula and Marina Silva on the roadmap on the transition away from fossil fuels. And what we have seen at this COP is that momentum grow in the course of the last few days. Global North, Global South, 82 countries across the world endorsing this call. And I look forward to the presidency incorporating this in the conclusions that we reach at this COP, working together to ensure this is a just, orderly and fair transition.
Just a second, Ed. I think we're not hearing you.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to the presidency recognising this in the conclusions from the COP, working together so we can work together to ensure this is a just, orderly and fair transition, recognising the challenges that must be overcome. But final point I would make is this: I think all of us in the next few days have a responsibility to raise our sights, to prove that multilateralism can still work for the benefit of all of our peoples, to show that we don't want to let each other sink or swim, but we want to join together. And from the point of view of the UK, I endorse the action agenda, the brilliant work that you have done, and I express our determination to work together for a high-level ambition at this COP. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ed Miliband, for your very powerful words. Now I would like to call on the Deputy Prime Minister from the Netherlands. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. 10 years after Paris, we have to deliver. And let me say that we are delivering. And as Ed already said, it is unstoppable and it is irreversible. But we need to speed up and show concrete results. And the Global Climate Action Agenda plays a crucial role in achieving this. And we welcome the COP30 presidency's efforts to focus the action agenda on what we have already agreed, especially in the first global stocktake. Secondly, build on existing initiatives to accelerate and scale up action. And third, ensure monitoring and accountability of existing and new pledges and initiatives. This improved action agenda should complement negotiated outcomes. It cannot be a substitute. We need to focus implementing our pledges instead of increasing the number of pledges. Implementation and execution is key. And that is why I would like to highlight one of our collective commitments, shifting financial flows from fossil fuels to clean energy. When we spend less on fossil fuels, more money can flow towards the green transition. And as we all know, this is not easy, and international cooperation is key. And that's why the Netherlands launched the coalition on phasing out fossil fuel incentives, including subsidies, 2 years ago. The goal is to close the gap between international commitments and implementation, to ensure that long-standing pledges translate into real reforms. We focus on transparency, international barriers, and phase-out strategies. Under COFIS, 17 countries have already committed to domestic reform, with set timelines for this reform. And we are expanding, and we invite, of course, other countries and regional governments to join us in this mission. That is why we welcome the Granary of Solutions platform launched by the COP30 presidency. This online platform can help bring together existing solutions and help accelerate and scale up climate action initiatives from around the world. I hope it can drive change, like shifting financial flows from fossil fuels to clean energy in other areas as well. And I hope it can drive implementation and execution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam, with those very concrete initiatives that you know leading with others. And now I would like to call the Republic of Korea on behalf of the IEG. Please, Madam, you have the floor.
I have the honor to speak on behalf of the Environmental Integrity Group. EIG extends its appreciation to the climate high-level champions and its team for the 5-year plan, for the Global Climate Action Agenda, and for preparing the 2-week GCAA program, contributing to the overall objective of COP30. EIG recognizes the leadership of the COP presidencies and the high-level champions in shaping the action agenda into the integrated platform inspired by the Muchirao spirit of collective effort and solidarity. We would urge that parties welcome the 5-year plan, part of the Muchirao decision, and the overall response of COP30 to the collective level of ambition of submitted NDCs. As parties move toward full-scale implementation of their NDCs and national adaptation plans, the credibility of the Paris Agreement will be assessed by delivery. At this implementation COP, the role of non-party stakeholders has become even more important in driving visible and tangible progress on the ground and addresses the concerns and priorities of people around the world. We appreciate that 5-year vision offers much needed continuity and structure while preserving flexibility to adapt to the evolving realities of parties and regions. This balance between structure and adaptability reflects a mature phase of global climate action. We also welcome the increased focus on accountability of initiatives. In particular, we note that rather than adding new initiatives, COP presidencies and the climate high-level champions have endeavored to reduce duplication and bring greater structure across more than 700 initiatives accumulated since the launch of the Marrakesh Partnership. The vision of aligning the action agenda with the GST outcomes is potentially transformational in accelerating implementation and creating additional space for political leadership. This approach can also help demonstrate how the international climate regime is delivered for them. EIG hopes that this approach will be stabilized across future COPs so that it can support more coherent implementation and contribute to the effective achievement of the Paris Agreement goals. EIG stands ready to continue engaging constructively with the future COP presidencies, the climate high-level champions, and all stakeholders to advance coherent, ambitious, and effective global climate action. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam. I would like now to call France. France, you have the floor, please.
Chair, Excellencies, colleagues, I'm very happy to join you to discuss the achievements and the future of the action agenda. First of all, I would like to align my intervention with the remarks already shared by the European Commission. France commends the impressive work produced this year by the Brazilian Presidency, the high-level champions and the Marrakesh partnership to deliver a strong, streamlined and renewed action agenda for COP30 and the next 5 years to come. The action agenda as a legacy of COP21 and the Paris Agreement is very dear to France. And as we have repeatedly stated, climate action will only work if each and every stakeholders join the global effort to tackle climate change. We need local authorities, we need the business community, we need financial institutions, we need international organizations, UN agencies, we need investors, we need central banks, we need researchers, and we need the youth. We need everyone to act on this action plan. France is very happy to support and actively contribute to dozens of initiatives that play a role this year in the action agenda. Let me highlight just 3 priorities. First, climate disinformation. We really appreciate the choice made by Brazil to include the topic as a priority of the action agenda for the very first time. And we were happy to join the historic Belém Declaration on information integrity on climate change. Guaranteeing everyone reliable, science-based information is essential for keeping up collective efforts and making the ecological transition a success. Second, forest and ocean. Our 2 greatest carbon sinks, reservoirs of biodiversity and sources of nature-based solutions for adaptation. France was proud to host the 3rd UN Ocean Conference in Nice in June, where we launched the Blue NDC Challenge together with Brazil to accelerate ocean-based measures in the new NDCs. We also welcome the launch of the TFFF in Belém, and we are proud of the launch of the Belém Call to Action for the Congo Basin Forest. Third, energy transition. France will remain highly involved in the work of the Powering Pascal Alliance and the Beyond Oil and Gas Alliance to advance the international discussion on the orderly phase-out of fossil fuels, which is the challenge of the decades to come, and the unavoidable path to reach net zero by mid-century. This also includes tackling urgently methane emissions in the oil and gas sector, and we invite all countries to join the global methane pledge. You can count on France's full support to further advance the work of the action agenda. We also call on all non-party stakeholders, coalitions and initiatives with support of the high-level champions to actively I'm sorry, you cannot hear me, but to actively contribute to the 2nd global stocktake starting next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's noisy. This is the Amazon. This is, as you could see, we have this rain almost at the same time every day. Each day stronger. So, yes, it's part of nature. So let us celebrate nature and speak up a little bit. But thank you, France. Thank you for your leadership and partnership in several of those initiatives, especially on the disinformation and ocean. It has been a pleasure working with you. Now it's my great pleasure to call upon Sweden. Sweden, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Presidency. Thank you, Anna. And let us also not only celebrate the forces of nature, but also celebrate the forces of solutions that we can see very evident in the action agenda. And let me start by thanking the COP Presidency for the new approach to the action agenda, and to the high-level champion, Ioschpe in particular, for your leadership and engagement in bringing these new support solutions forward. As other colleagues have highlighted, we are pleased to see the action agenda growing into a platform for strengthened collaboration for implementing our NDCs and our NAPs. Sweden's key messages on global climate action have been consistently urgency and opportunity. Urgency based on the science and to where we need to go, and opportunity also based on the new jobs and growth that we see that the transition brings. And we believe the action agenda is a space to highlight these opportunities, showcasing solutions across sectors such as energy, transport, industry and food systems. As you will have seen in the Swedish pavilion here at COP30, we brand ourselves as the climate matchmaker, providing solutions to meet partner countries' needs and priorities. And we see the action agenda as complementing the negotiated outcomes from COP30. We need to ensure a process within the UNFCCC where parties can collaborate to accelerate the implementation of NDCs, highlighting solutions and identifying barriers. And it is also encouraging to see the growing support for the roadmap for transitioning away from fossil fuels. Here again, to complement the negotiated outcome from COP30, we believe the action agenda can serve as a platform to highlight the solutions available to accelerate the transitioning away from fossil fuels. And finally, we hope to see a stronger link also between the action agenda and the negotiations, where the solutions highlighted in the action agenda will also be reflected in the relevant agenda items and work programs on the negotiations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sweden. And you were right. It's solution, baby, solution. That's what we wanted and we will have for this COP. Now it's my great pleasure to call upon Australia. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you. Let me start by extending my thanks at the outset to you, Anna, to Dan, to Bruna, and the whole Brazilian team, along with the UNFCCC Secretariat, for bringing us together to discuss the future of the action agenda. COP30 has been an extraordinary opportunity to show the world that we are committed to collective action and to keeping 1.5-degree future within reach. Brazil's leadership has set the course for the next 5 years of the action agenda, mobilising actors across governments and the private sector and anchoring efforts to the outcomes of our global stocktake. We welcome this 5-year vision as set out by the high-level champions and applaud Brazil's efforts to provide a framework to guide the tremendous global effort underway across the action agenda. Australia sees value in the action agenda's ability to mobilise high-level coalitions and send powerful signals outside of the negotiations, reflecting the reality on the ground and priorities across the world. We've heard directly from stakeholders, including investors and business representatives, that they want clear political signals to back up what they are already seeing in the real economy, that the net zero transition is underway, that it is in everyone's interest and it needs to speed up. We've also heard that action happens when governments, businesses and financial institutions come together to tackle shared challenges. This is what the action agenda is all about, real action to drive net zero forward. We share this collective vision to work together through the action agenda to address barriers, scale solutions and accelerate implementation of agreed outcomes. The principles proposed by the high-level champions create the flexibility needed to focus our efforts and accelerate climate action in the areas that need it most. The principles will allow each presidency to refine their priorities while maintaining a unified action agenda across successive COP presidencies. The action agenda mapping that has been undertaken this year has revealed the sheer scale of initiatives underway across every aspect of climate action. Brazil has made admirable efforts to activate and scale up these existing initiatives to build on what works and what has come before us. The Belém Declaration on Global Green Industrialisation, which Australia is pleased to support, is just one example of this. It typifies the way that international cooperation on clean energy industry has continued to grow and evolve in recent years. Governments are coming together to work with the private sector and other experts to coordinate the planning and scaling of the green industrial transition to drive economic growth whilst contributing to climate goals. In Australia's view, the next year of the Action Agenda should focus on continuing this great work, both to grow the global green economy and bolster future climate resilience. We need to continue to come together to send practical signals designed to accelerate implementation towards our already agreed goals, and we need to celebrate our collective achievements to tell the story of global progress. We also need to come forward with tangible action to close gaps where they exist. Now is the time to deliver on ambitions set in recent years and to collaborate on the solutions we need to realise this ambition. Going forward, we must build on Brazil's efforts, including by showcasing that if we get it right, net zero can both be a climate imperative and an economic opportunity. COPs need to be more focused on delivering practical action, implementation and fostering investment and deal-making. The economics of the net zero transformation speaks for themselves. I look forward to continuing to work with you all through the Action Agenda. Friends, the time for action is now.
Thank you very, very much, Australia, and thank you for your partnership in the Green Industrialization Initiative, among others. Now it's my great pleasure to invite the Kingdom of Morocco. Please, Kingdom of Morocco, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the Kingdom of Morocco welcomes the opportunity to take the floor at this decisive moment for global climate action. We recommend the high-level champions and the COP presidencies for keeping the momentum of the Marrakesh Partnership for Global Climate Action, a legacy that continues to inspire collective ambition and practical cooperation. From Marrakesh to Belém, Morocco has championed a model of systemic policy integration, ensuring that climate action is not treated as an environmental silo, but as a central pillar of national development planning. Our NDC 3.0 reflects Morocco's integrated approach to climate action, linking high ambition climate targets in full alignment with the Global Climate Action Agenda. While our new NDC Rise ambition is true innovation lies in offering true methodological contributions to the global NDC process, demonstrating that economic efficiency, financial returns, and environmental and social benefits of climate actions are not contradictory, but mutually reinforcing pillars of sustainable transformation. The first innovation is the introduction of sectoral abatement cost indicators that integrate actual investment returns. Technically, it provides a powerful tool for COP processes. The second innovation is that Morocco's NDC establishes a direct linkage between financial flows and adaptation outcomes at the local level. Through these innovations, Morocco's NDC embodies the spirit of solidarity, peace, and shared security that must guide the next phase of global climate governance, ensuring that ambition and implementation go hand in hand across all regions, especially in the global south. Beyond national action, Morocco stands as a platform for South-South and triangular cooperation, facilitating technology transfer, capacity building, and financing partnerships that empower African countries to scale up climate solutions. This reflects our conviction that global ambition must be matched by regional delivery. As we look to the next 5 years of the Global Climate Action Agenda, Morocco calls for greater policy coherence between the global stocktake outcomes and national economic planning, operational no debt creating finance to close the implementation gap in developing regions, and recognition of Africa's leadership in driving pragmatic, community-rooted climate solutions. In conclusion, Morocco firmly believes that the Marrakesh Partnership for Global Climate Action remains a cornerstone of the multilateral response to climate change. It has shown that progress is possible when parties and no-parties stakeholders act together with trust, transparency, and shared purpose, making sure that partnerships translate the political momentum into measurable action by 2030. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much to Morocco, and thank you also for your leadership in bringing to this process the Marrakesh Partnership, which we're very happy to carry forward. We have seen the power of it throughout this year, and now moving into its next phase, we're very much strengthening it. Thank you very much. Now I would like to give the floor to Vanuatu.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, friends, I speak today on behalf of the people of Vanuatu, people whose daily reality reminds the world that climate change is not a distant threat, but a present crisis shaping shows our livelihoods and our very existence. At this pivotal COP30 gathered here in Belém, we reaffirm a truth that has guided global progress for decades. Multilateralism remains our strongest instrument for collective survival, and the global climate action agenda has shown this. No nation, large or small, can confront the climate crisis alone. We need one another. We need cooperation that is principled, ambitious, and unwavering. For Vanuatu, if this is the COP of truth, then the truth is that we need to do everything possible to keep global temperature rise to below 1.5. It is not a preference, it is a lifetime. Every fraction of a degree beyond it erodes our lands, cultures, and future. We call on all parties to hold fast to this limit, not as an aspirational target, but as a binding responsibility. This responsibility has now been clarified at the highest level of international law. The International Court of Justice has affirmed that states have legal obligations to prevent harm to the climate system and to protect the rights of present and future generations. Climate action is not charity, it is a duty, and we urge all nations to act in accordance with this legal and moral imperative. To achieve this, climate finance must be scaled up, predictable, and accessible. Small island developing states cannot be left navigating complex systems while facing existential threats. We need finance that reaches the front lines, supports adaptations, addresses loss and damage, and allows us to rebuild resilient, just, and sustainable economies. As we move forward from the global stocktake, the needs of small islands must remain central. Ambition must increase in mitigation. Adaptation gaps must close. Support must align with best available science, which is the IPCC. Justice and the lived realities of those most affected. The GST must be a roadmap to vibrant communities living with dignity, not merely a regard of missed opportunities. But let me be clear, not all solutions are equal. Pathways that deepen inequities, prolong fossil fuel dependence, or sacrifice vulnerable communities on the altar of convenience have no place in our collective future. Climate action must be just, it must be effective, and it must not create new problems in the name of solving old ones. We need to ambitiously address fossil fuel production, exports, and subsidies. Fossil fuel industries should also provide the finance for the damages they have caused. Vanuatu believes deeply in the power of collaboration, rooted in fairness, guided by science, and anchored in law. Together, we can still choose a path that protects lives, cultures, and ecosystems. But that choice must be made now, with courage and with conviction. Let COP30, 10 years from what we achieved in Paris, be remembered as the moment we recommitted to multilateralism, honored our obligations, and decided to build a future where all nations, not just the powerful or the fortunate, can thrive. Vanuatu stands ready to work with all of you to deliver that future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vanuatu, for the powerful reminders. And I would now ask to Madagascar, please, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame. Thank you, President. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Madagascar would like to express its full support for the 5-year vision of the Global Climate Action Agenda. Our country is determined to contribute to these collective efforts and to share its experience in a bid to raise ambition and to boost the effectiveness of global climate action. But Madagascar is among the least developed countries, and we are seeking to eradicate We are seeking to eradicate poverty and to build a prosperous future for our society. At the same time, Madagascar is one of the countries which is most susceptible to the effects of climate change. With global temperature increases, we are affected ever more by the far-reaching consequences of climate change, including prolonged droughts, more intense cyclones, and wildfires, which represent great threats to our unique biodiversity. They have a direct impact on water security, as well as on food and energy security. As a biodiversity hotspot, harbouring a great number of endemic species, Madagascar represents a major asset to surmount the climate challenge. We are proud to have joined at COP29 the G0 coalition as a founding member. This is a coalition which brings together the countries which are known as carbon negative or carbon neutral. Madagascar remains a crucial set of lungs of the planet. In this regard, we are contributing to the common good by absorbing more carbon than we produce. Nevertheless, we, like the other forested nations of Africa, require stepped-up support so that we continue to deliver this service to the planet. Nevertheless, given the growing vulnerabilities, adaptation represents an absolute priority for Madagascar, and we call for a profound transformation of climate finance so as to that it can be commensurate with the scale of the real needs on the ground. The essential enablers, including finance, technology, and capacity building, must be consolidated as a matter of urgency, including through new, additional, predictable, and accessible resources for the most vulnerable countries. Madagascar commits to mobilizing innovative finance, including through green and climate bonds. But these national efforts have to be supported by far-reaching international support so that it is possible to fast-track the implementation of priority adaptation programs and to protect, in the long run, our communities and unique ecosystems. Madagascar is also pleased to be able to contribute to the climate action initiatives under the 6 thematic focal areas, under the new organizational structure set out in the 5-year vision. All of these thematic focal areas are of particular importance for Madagascar. Nevertheless, the cross-cutting focal area on enablers and accelerators, including finance, technology, and capacity building, is of vital importance for implementing the objectives set out in the 5-year vision. In this vein, the mobilization of innovative finance which complements the Convention's financial mechanisms, including through leveraging green and climate bond markets, is one of the priority processes initiated by our country. Madagascar looks forward to concrete results from the Global Accelerator, in particular for the most vulnerable populations. Turning ambition into action is now imperative, and Madagascar is ready to fully play its role in the spirit of responsibility and solidarity for a resilient future, a future which is prosperous for the benefit of future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madagascar, and thank you for your participation in the action agenda. I would now call to the floor the Syrian Arab Republic. Please, you have the floor.
Honorable and esteemed delegates, first and foremost, we express our gratitude for the amazing international solidarity shown to Syria, which is facing multiple challenges down its way to early recovery. The ongoing humanitarian needs, the legacy of the past dictatorship regime, the persisting climate pressures are just some to mention. This year, we faced droughts, heat waves, wildfires, and water scarcity, affecting livelihoods, food security, and public health of our people. Therefore, climate resilience is inseparable from building peace, stability, and development. We use this momentum to call on developed countries to advance finance, technology transfer, and capacity building of our local authorities and workforces. This needs to be done in a coherent, transparent, and timely manner that enables Syria to accelerate implementation of its adaptation and resilience priorities, including but not limited to investing in integrated water resource management, promoting climate-smart agriculture to reduce risks at household levels, rehabilitation and upgrade is critical for our infrastructures with climate resilience at core, water, energy, roads, housing, and the urgent needs for solid waste management. Bolstering climate resilient health service and targeted protection for internationally displaced persons and returnees to Syria, all while ensuring voices of women, youth, displaced populations are heard. In Syria today, we are committed to transparency, accountability, learning, and scalable impact that can leave no one behind. Recognizing that addressing climate challenges is a collective responsibility, Syria seeks accelerated, predictable support that is aligned with our national plans and local realities. Let us translate ambition into actions. The resilience of our people hinges on the timely and concrete actions we support today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Syrian Arab Republic. And now I would like to ask if there are any other parties that would like to intervene before we move to the non-party stakeholders. Yes, so I would like to give the floor to Kyrgyzstan, please. You have the floor.
Chair, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, let me express our sincere gratitude to the Brazilian Presidency, UNFCCC Secretariat for organizing this event, and tremendous work for uniting our actions addressing climate change. Global Climate Action Agenda 2026 and 2030, a 5-year vision for accelerating implementation is an important roadmap to way forward. This event was a great opportunity for us to share our visions, uniting goals and efforts, and 5A in implementing the scope of Paris Agreement. Kyrgyzstan presented already NDC 3.0 report and BTR, and taking into account of the critical importance of mountain resilience in the framework of Bonn conference, we held last year expert dialogue on mountains and climate change. All participants of this forum highlighted the importance of joint actions, research and science on the problems related to mountain regions, not only mountain ecosystem conservation, but also the improving life of mountain people to improve their resilience to climate change. In this regard, we also discussed such kind of underfinanced issues of mountain communities and also having these financial issues. So we have very serious problems like biodiversity loss, glaciers melting, water supply and shortage, natural disasters, and other things. So in this regard, we also hope that Brazilian presidency would support having annual dialogue on mountains and climate change. And also we would like to have these mountain issues to be prioritized in coming workstream programs of COP30 and COP31. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kyrgyzstan. And now I understand the list of intervention from parties is closed. And we're going to move to the non-party stakeholders. So please, I would like to call on the local governments and municipal authorities constituency, LGMA. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished champions, colleagues, friends, I am Carlos de Freitas from FMDV Global Fund for Cities Development, delivering this statement on behalf of LGMA, Local Governments and Municipal Authorities Constituency. We want to express our appreciation for the extraordinary work that has brought us to this moment. The new 5-year strategy of the GCA marks a turning point. It strengthened the architecture that so many of us helped build for a decade, and it does so with clarity, ambition, and humility. COP Presidency has shown first-of-its-kind leadership and strong understanding of real-life needs by calling for a move from negotiation to action, and by supporting and highlighting cities, state and regional governments before and throughout COP30, in particular under the dedicated Axis 4 on building resilience for cities, infrastructure and water. That has shown momentum and translated into several plans to accelerate solutions, but also the fourth ministerial meeting on urbanization and climate change here in Belém. We pay tribute to the climate champions, the UNFCCC Secretariat and past presidencies whose leadership made the Marrakesh Partnership a true ecosystem of cooperation. 10 years after the Paris Agreement, we enter a new generation of convergence and implementation, a generation where parties, cities, regions, civil society, business, communities and finance recognize that implementation only succeeds when we act together, each with our own mandate but aligned in purpose. But this won't be the COP of implementation without the implementers at the heart of it. For this to truly be the historic COP that accelerates implementation, a space for subnationals and multi-level governance has to be recognized in the negotiated outcomes. In the lead-up to today, here have been strong words about bringing in the implementers, but nothing has changed in the outcomes shared by the presidency. Some national governments are still to be kept on the outside. The current text reinforces the statu quo and fails to move us towards implementation as promised. Subnational implementation has been taking place for decades. Now, a formalized dialogue is needed to leverage and reflect this contribution within the UN process. We know parties have been calling for it and many are supportive. As we close this session, our message is simple. We honor the path that brought us here. We stand fully committed to deliver in the present. However, we need clear space in formal outcomes to ensure that our efforts under the action agenda count towards the second global stocktake, complementing party efforts within a transparent, coherent and forward-driving framework. Because when cities, regions, communities, sectors, parties and champions move in concert as a multirang, we drive progress and ownership, we bridge the future and we bring it within reach. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the UGMA, and I would like to thank also the subnational governments community for its deep participation, especially on Access 4, but across all of the action agenda. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. You have the floor.
Madam President, I take the floor on behalf of IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature. IUCN has been a long-standing member of the Marrakesh Partnership for Global Climate Action. At the outset, we would like to express our deep appreciation to the COP30 Presidency and the high-level champions for putting together a concrete and ambitious action agenda this year. What has been particularly striking and welcome is your vision in ensuring that the different axes and objectives established under the action agenda were framed specifically to deliver on key elements of the global stocktake decision. This, in our view, will help to ensure that its relevance and longevity beyond COP30 as well. IUCN was honored to contribute to Axis 2 of the action agenda on stewarding forests, ocean and biodiversity, to engage in its various activation groups and to deliver concrete plans to accelerate solutions on biodiversity adaptation and resilience and on nature-based solutions, working through the ENACT partnership co-chaired by Egypt and Germany and with partners like Nature for Climate and others. Meeting here in Belém, at the mouth of the Amazon, where the forest meets the sea, we know that the nature and climate agendas are deeply intertwined. We need ambition on both to succeed on either. Our 1,400 plus government, NGO and IPO members who met at the IUCN World Conservation Congress in Abu Dhabi last month clearly underscored this message for Belém. So we look forward to seeing strong outcomes and decisions on both climate and nature being achieved at COP30. We also welcome the 5-year vision presented for the Global Climate Action Agenda and look forward to actively contributing to it. Madam President, once again, please be assured of IUCN's full support. I thank you.
Thank you very much to IUCN, and thank you also for your leadership in helping us steward the activation groups, especially on Access 2. That was very appreciated. And in your name, I'd like to thank all of the partners who have taken that role in the secretariats of the group from the Marrakesh Partnership and international organizations. I would now give the floor to the last intervention from non-party stakeholders from the United Nations Programme on Gender Equality and the Empower of Women, UN Women. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, UN Women is grateful to be part of this action agenda and welcomes the efforts of translating the results of the first Global Stake Talk in 6 major thematic pillars. As we gather here in Belém, the heart of the Amazon and the symbol of our planet's resilience, let's be clear, climate action that ignores gender equality is not only unjust, it's ineffective. Women and girls in all their diversity are bearing the brunt of climate impacts, including displacement, food insecurity and paid care responsibilities, and weighted risks of violence, while contributing indispensable knowledge and leadership to solutions. Yet, their voices remain underrepresented in decision-making, and climate finance continues to bypass feminist and grassroots organizations. Just this morning, Indigenous women raised their voices on why lengthy and complex requirements hinder their access to financing. Solutions must, therefore, consider their lives' realities if they are to truly be gender responsive. COP30 must live to its ambition as the COP of truth, the implementation COP. Implementation must be anchored in a strong, actionable and accountable gender action plan as a political imperative. Across all its 6 axes, enablers, accelerators, and its 30 objectives, the action agenda must leverage the forthcoming gap to ensure gender responsive and recognize and valorize women-led solutions. Why? Because transitions that ignore care work and social protection will fail. Because loss and damage is not only economic, culture, heritage, ancestral knowledge and community cohesion matter. Because adaptation without gender-specific indicators under the global goal on adaptation will perpetuate vulnerability, and because climate finance that does not prioritize women's leadership risks reinforcing inequality rather than resilience. We call on all parties to act. UN Women is more than ready to be part of this process and act as a committed partner in accelerating gender-responsive climate solutions. For example, as the convener of the Generation Equality Action Coalition for Climate Justice, we have advanced multi-stakeholder engagement and actions at global, regional, but more importantly, at the grassroots level since 2021 to accelerate outcomes of the Beijing Platform for Action. UN Women is also collecting and compiling disaggregated data and gender statistics that are available to ground action in robust evidence. Our research for the next flagship report on progress for the world's women will for the first time focus on climate change to provide the necessary knowledge to tailor solutions, accelerate action and deeply embed gender equality in the architecture of climate governance. More importantly, UN Women urged you, leaders, to take heed of the voices of women at the grassroots level, as well as civil society and other non-state actors, who are at the forefront of climate action. They are the real force of innovation, knowledge and wisdom needed to strengthen climate actions. Excellencies, multilateralism works and we must invest on action. Supported by strong gender equality considerations, the action agenda be transformed and will signal resolve. Let COP30 be remembered as the moment to choose justice, ambition and inclusion. Anything else, it's indefensible. Muito obrigada.
Muito obrigada, and thank you very much to UN Women and also for your support to allow us to make that happen, right, to put that into practice. Now the list is closed for the non-party stakeholders. I would really like to thank the COP29 Presidency for the valuable partnership, the UNFCCC Secretariat, who has worked so closely with all of the team throughout this process, the climate champion, Ioschpe and Nigar Arpadarai, who have really provided us with the leadership, and all of the climate champions team who have been amazing partners throughout this work. We have Saba also here, who has been supporting Nigar throughout the process. And I would also like to thank my team for the COP30 presidency, Barbara Godoy, Luma Diaz, and all of our focal points who have been working with each of the axes of the action agenda. And really, to finalize, I want to say that let us carry the momentum for today forward. I think it was beautiful to see this room filled with parties and non-party stakeholders working together through voluntary action to accelerate the implementation of what we're doing. We really want to sustain these partnerships, initiatives, and innovations that will drive the next phase of the Global Climate Action Agenda. Thank you for taking this journey with us. And to finalize, we really would like to invite all of the family of the Global Climate Action Agenda for a photo on stage. Please come with us.
o seu agosto azedo, cedo, antes que o janeiro doce manga venha ser também. Abacateiro, serás meu parceiro solitário nesse itinerário da leveza pelo ar. Abacateiro, saiba que na refazenda tu me ensina a fazer renda, que eu te ensino a namorar. Refazendo tudo, refazenda, refazenda toda, Guariroba. Abacateiro, acataremos teu ato, nós também somos do mato, como o pato e o leão. Aguardaremos, brincaremos no regato, até que nos tragam frutos teu amor, teu coração. Abacateiro, teu recolhimento é justamente o significado da palavra temporão. Enquanto o tempo não trouxer teu abacate, amanhã será tomate, anoitecerá mamão. Abacateiro, sabes ao que estou me referindo, porque todo tamarindo tem o seu agosto azedo, cedo, antes que o janeiro doce manga venha ser também. Abacateiro, serás meu parceiro solitário nesse itinerário da leveza pelo ar. Abacateiro, saiba que na refazenda tu me ensina a fazer renda, que eu te ensino a namorar. Refazendo tudo, refazenda, refazenda.